start with a flea flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Galladay.
Sup, everybody, and welcome to the Week 4 show of the Flea Flicker. We are joined by guest today, my friend Josh. Josh, what is up? How are you doing today?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Love it. Well,
Good to
Craig
have
went
you, Josh.
9-5-1 last week, Josh, so the bar is set. Joe, how are you today?
Doing well. Saturday, or just the morning. Ready to get after it today, and just enjoy the weekend.
Love to hear that. And so let's start off with the news about the Steelers and Titans. Joe, when we recorded a couple of days ago for our Week 3 recap, the game was supposed to be on Monday or Tuesday. Now word has come out. They postponed it, so Steelers and Titans get a bye this week. And that game is moved to Week 8, is it? And then the Ravens
7,
Steelers,
I think.
Yeah, that's right. Week 7.
Yeah.
Ravens Steelers gets moved from Week 7 to Week 8. The Ravens get a Week 7 bye now. Josh, you are a Steelers fan, as we can see from your jersey. So as a Steelers fan, give us your thoughts of this. Was this the right decision? Did you want to play? Just give me your thoughts on this as a Steelers fan.
I think the first thought that comes to mind is we're still in a global pandemic. So, I mean, you got to hope that all the Titans players and personnel are healthy. And that's obviously the first thought. I don't think the NFL handled it well, though. I think they should have waited a bit longer. I think they should have kept the possibility of playing on Tuesday open. It's the same as injuries. I mean, if you've got 90% of the Titans team healthy and 10% is not healthy, you're still able to play. It's actually caused a lot of issues with the Steelers' schedule. They're now going to have to play back-to-back road games against the Titans, Cowboys, and Ravens, which includes 13 straight games without a bye week. It includes playing the Ravens when they're coming off the bye week, and the Steelers are not coming off the bye week now. But as Mike Tomlin said, we don't care. We're going to beat the Ravens. We're going to win those 13 games. We're going to take it on. It's the Steelers. But I think the first thought is I hope the Titans players are doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thoughts and prayers to all the handful of guys and even personnel and, people outside of the players, personnel, bus drivers, hotel people. Best wishes to them. Joe, your thoughts on how the NFL handled this and, kind of the rescheduling process. I'm disappointed we don't get Tuesday night football, but Joe, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, same. I mean, hope everyone's doing all right. It's definitely very frustrating for the Steelers to, not have really done anything wrong, but have to deal with, all the consequences of this that, now, clearly put them at a little bit more of a disadvantage than before. I do think Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, that veteran core will be able to kind of weather the storm and, battle through it. But it is a tough division. So we'll see how they're able to, really handle the Ravens when, both teams are, hopefully at full strength or as much strength as the Steelers can be with this schedule now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, I believe it was 2011, the Ravens played at Houston in Week 2. A hurricane caused a scheduling mishap. So the Ravens had a Week 2 bye. 2011 was the Lee Evans, Billy Cundiff AFC Championship game. So we would have been Super Bowl champions. So maybe this works out for the Steelers and Titans to have a Week 4 bye. That is a tough schedule. And I'm with you, Josh. I think they probably should have played this game on Monday or Tuesday. Yes, it is a handful of players. I believe it's around 8 or 9 players and then a handful of personnel. But NFL rosters are 50, 60, 70 players. Now, I would get it if it was like Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Of course, the NFL is going to be like, all right, we can't play this game. But it's kind of like, all right, well, it's like your second string linebacker. We can get by that.
Well, I think that it's also just kind of because, I mean, each day more players came out testing positive. I mean, or personnel. I mean, it wasn't like, it was just a couple and then they considered it and then, decided not to do it. I mean, each day it was like 2 more, 1 more, 3 more, something like that. And then that's when they decided to just pull the plug. So, I mean, I think that, that was probably the best, the smartest and safest thing to do, under the circumstances of, what this season in 2020 has been.
I think this is just the beginning, though. And I think
it could be, yeah.
they're getting lucky with this scenario where they can move around bye weeks. I mean, what happens when let's say the Titans next week, there's more positives and they can't play that game? Then you got to figure out another schedule change. You can't be adding weeks on to the end of the season. I think the NFL is in for it right now, and I think they're gonna struggle without having a plan in place, which they've seen every major sports league go through this. They've had the most time, and it seems like they've been the most unprepared. I would applaud the NHL and the NBA. I think they did a phenomenal job. So we'll see what the NFL does throughout the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. And luckily the Vikings, who the Titans played last week, that they didn't have any positives. They were back in the facility and back in practice on Thursday. So that's good news. But let's hop into week 4. Let's start off with Thursday night football, Joe, and Josh, I guess. But the Denver Broncos won 37-28 against the Jets. They showed a lot of good promise. They had a lot of bad plays. The Jets are the Jets. We saw Joe Flacco come in. That made me very happy for 3 plays. He didn't get sacked at all. Sam Darnold got sacked like 8 times. Joe Flacco, 0 sacks. Put him in the game, Adam Gase. But, Joe, we both picked the Broncos, so we're 1-0. It was a little nervous, a little bit. The Jets did take a fourth quarter lead, but Brett Rypien came back, and the Broncos won. The Jets offense, aside from that Sam Darnold 45-yard touchdown run, 0 touchdowns after that. The field goal kicker, Sam Ficken, but Josh, I believe he went to Penn State. Is
Penn
that
State
correct?
alum, yes.
Penn State had like 5 or 6 field goals. Like the Jets offense was very stagnant. They had a short field off a couple of interceptions, but they couldn't move the ball. Joe, we'll start off with you, I guess, after me. But Joe, what were your thoughts from Thursday night football?
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised that Adam Gase wasn't fired the next day because, like I said, there were a couple reports that had been floated around about that. I guess either the day before or the day of the game, Ian Rappaport came out and, like, refuted it. I wasn't so sure, but he's clearly still not fired, so I don't know. But, I mean, it just doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. Like, I mean, I understand that it's a short week and – you know, you have a lot of injuries, but you got to come in with a game plan to move the football against this banged up Broncos team. I mean, you know, another thing that really stood out to me was Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, and all the personal fouls that the defense was having. I mean, this is something that's followed Greg Williams his whole career. I mean, he's the guy known for the Bounty Gate scandal with the Saints a couple of years back. But, I mean, there were 6 personal fouls just on the defensive side of the ball this game. Vic Fangio didn't even want to shake their hands after the game because he knew that it wasn't going to be a good scene. I mean, you know, his players were pissed off. It was chippy. You know, it was – I just don't think that it's a good culture there in the Jets. I mean, who would have thought Adam Gase and Greg Williams would have been a terrible combination as a head coach and defensive coordinator. But, yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy, though, great play. Yeah. Balling out. Love to see other – great rookie wide receivers making plays when the Eagles can't find any.
Absolutely. Josh, your thoughts from Thursday night football?
The first thought is how the hell is Gase still a coach in this league?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got an under 500 record. He's been terrible with the Dolphins, with the Jets, continues to lose games that he should lose, but also games that he should win. I think this was a game that he should have won. I don't think Frank Gore should be their starting running back. Yes, he's a great running back. I think you should be going with your younger guys like Balaj until Bell comes back. Shout out to Bell for having a terrible decision and going to the New York Jets in free agency a couple of years ago. You really screwed your career on that. But I'm excited for this Broncos team. I think once Drew Lock comes back, they have so many weapons on this offense. With Hamilton and Hamler and Jeudy and Sutton next year. They've got the second best backup running back with Lindsey, only behind Kareem Hunt, and obviously Melvin Gordon trying to revive his career after last year. So I'm excited for this Broncos team. Too many injuries to make the playoffs this year, but watch out for them next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Greg Williams bounty was alive and well throughout the whole game, not just the end. And then I don't know if you guys stuck around to listen to the post game, but Joe Thomas was trying to make an argument for Greg Williams, being like, well, he was, you know, the defensive coordinator while I was there at the Browns for a few years. And Steve Smith just shut him up. He was like, bro, like, come on, dude. Like, this is a straight up like bounty, and like it's a
Yeah.
mentality. Like the nonsense comes, and Joe Thomas was trying to like refute that and everything like that. But enough about the Broncos. Enough about the Jets. Josh, this is why you're here. You're our guest picker for Week 4 of the NFL season.
There we
So
go.
let's hop right into it. First game we got: the New Orleans Saints are a 3-point road favorite at the Detroit Lions. The over/under is at 54 right now. My big question for this game is, who needs this win more? Do the Lions and finally saying, hey, we beat a good team in the Saints, Matt Patricia took the next step, maybe he is our coach? Or is it the Saints being like, hey, we can't go 1-3, we're the New Orleans Saints, but we haven't looked that good? So that's my big question. We'll kick it off to our guest first. Josh, give us your quick couple thoughts of this game, and who's your pick?
That's a tough one. I actually think the Lions need it more. I don't think they've got a chance of making the playoffs this year, especially with how well the Packers are doing and some of the other teams in the NFC. But I think with the injuries that the Saints are facing, Cook and both Thomas have been ruled out for this game. I see the Saints rebounding, even starting 1-3 if they were to lose this game. So I think the Lions need it more. I do think the Saints are going to end up winning this game, though. I mean, they've got Kamara's run last week, or catch, whatever you want to call it. He's amazing. The fact that he wasn't going 3 or 4 in fantasy drafts this year, and some of the fantasy drafts is ridiculous. I think the Saints win it by single digits, but I do think the Saints prevail.
Love to hear that. Joe, your thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a close game. I mean, Jeff Okudah is going to shut down whoever he's covering out there because, I mean, the people he's going to be going against at the receiver position for New Orleans, they're not good. I mean, it's Traquan Smith and old Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, I really think Jeff Okudah is just going to shut down that receiving core, and they're just going to have to be really creative on offense. So, I mean, we've seen Taysom Hill come in and make some plays. We've seen Alvin Kamara turn a lot of something out of a lot of nothing. So I think the Saints are going to do just enough, but I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't know, that three points for the Saints. That would be pretty close. Like I could see that happening. I could see it coming down to the very end. Will Lutz field goal.
Yeah, you guys both nailed it. I think the big key too is Matt Patricia is a Bill Belichick guy. Bill Belichick is great for taking out the team's one weapon. That's Alvin Kamara. I don't know how much you can stop him, but this is also why they drafted Jeffrey Okudah, because they knew they had to stop, Dalvin Cook, the Bears running backs, even Aaron Jones and the Packers. So they said, hey, like, if we can stop the run with Kamara, like, we trust Okudah with Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders. So that's my big thing is, can they stop Kamara? I'm going to go with no, but I'm with you guys. This is going to be a close game. 3 points for the Saints. Not sure right now. But I'm still going to go with the Saints. I'm not a believer in the Lions. I know Joe thinks that they're average, predicting I'm going to go 8-8 for some reason. But I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. Just going to go with the safe pick here for our first game. So we're all in the Saints. So that's always nice. Now, the second game, we got another road favorite in the Indianapolis Colts. 2.5-point favorite on the road at the 3-0 Bears. With Nick Foles in his first start, the over-under is at 43. Joe, this is your quarterback, Nick Foles. Talk to us about the Colts Bears.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I mean, Nick Foles, he's going to have a full week as the starter, a little bit more chemistry with his starters out there like Allen Robinson, Jimmy Graham. I mean, it's going to really depend on how much is asked of Nick Foles throughout the game. I mean, if the Colts can shut down the run, Tariq Cohen's not going to play. He's done for the year. David Montgomery is their guy right now, and they don't really have much else behind them. If the Colts shut down the run, you're asking Nick Foles to beat you against a very good Colts defense. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Colts offense is going to put up enough points against the Bears to win this pretty handily. I think it'll be, maybe a 10-point game. But I think the Colts win this, and it's not too tough for them. I think Jonathan Taylor, Phillip Rivers have a good game.
Josh, thoughts on who you got?
You said the Bears were the underdogs?
They're the underdogs. The Bears.
I'm going with the Bears. Nick Foles is used to being the underdog. I mean, he's got his nickname for a reason, Big Dick Nick. He's gonna
Mhm.
he looked pretty good coming in. For the Trubisky era is over. I think this is Foles' team throughout for the rest of the season. I'm very against Phillip Rivers. I think he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in this league. I looked up a stat today, and I think this is going to be a one-score game. I looked up a stat this morning. Phillip Rivers is the quarterback in the history of the NFL that has the most one-score losses. I think this is going to be another one-score loss for Phillip Rivers. He'll probably throw an interception in the fourth quarter that costs his team the game. That's what he does. I do agree that losing Tariq Cohen is a big loss for the Bears, but I think Allen Robinson finally having a competent quarterback to throw him the ball, he's going to ball out. Another Penn Stater, shout out to Penn State. I've got Bears in this one.
I'm with you, Josh. I'm going with the Bears and Nick Foles. And not saying that I'm not a believer in the Colts. I did pick them to win the division, but this is their first road game second road game of the season. The first one they lost at the Jaguars. Then they played Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, and they won 28-11. Then they played the Jets, and they had 2 defensive touchdowns. The offense kind of still being a little lackluster, and I don't know if it's Phillip Rivers or Jonathan Taylor. They just haven't clicked yet, but I'm going to go with Nick Foles. We're going to ride with Big Dick Nick in this one. And I think the reason why they got Nick Foles, not only is he a good quarterback, but Matt Nagy comes under the Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, coaching tree. So it's a very similar offensive scheme. So we'll see how Nick Foles does, but I'm going with the Bears. They're underdogs. Take Bears plus 2.5. When we did that week 1, they won. So Bears are going to go 4-0. So there we got that. Now we got the quarterback that Nick Foles beat in the Super Bowl. We have Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chargers going from L.A. all the way to Tampa Bay. Buccaneers are a 7-point favorite. The over-under is set at 42.5. Justin Herbert getting the start, not being told 10 seconds beforehand. Tyrod is out. Let's start with our guest, Josh. Give me your thoughts on Chargers Bucks and who you got.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on this one. I'm not really sold on Tampa Bay as a team. I don't think they're I don't think they're a legitimate contender like most people think they are. For the Chargers, I think Herbert's done a great job for the situation he's been put into. I think it's tough for him because he had a good chance of sitting out a year, and I think that's phenomenal for a rookie to get to sit behind a veteran quarterback and really learn from them. So I don't think this is going to help him and the Chargers moving forward. With that being said, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, even with Fournette out. And I think Godwin's out as well for this game. So a bunch of injuries, but I think Tampa Bay and Tom Brady at home in a close one here.
Joe, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Tampa Bay in this one. I think that Tom Brady and Mike Evans are really developing a strong chemistry, especially down in the goal line. I think that he's going to kind of force feed him again in the game that Godwin already missed this season. Mike Evans won off that game. I mean, Tom Brady was just feeding him the ball all game. I think he's going to do that again. I think he's going to be successful. And then the Chargers are still, dealing with a couple injuries on the back end. I can't remember. I want to say either Chris Harris or Casey Hayward are going to be out this week, if I remember correctly.
Chris Harris, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Chris Harris is out. I mean, Derwin James is already done for the year. You're already banged up in your secondary. I think Melvin Ingram might be out as well. So, I know. So, I really think the Bucs are going to be able to be successful on offense, and that defense is just so underrated. They're going to be able to shut down the run. And they're going to, force Justin Herbert to, be the one to beat them. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
Can I make a shout out to Mike Evans' stat line from last week? 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Josh, on the Bucs. I think that they do just enough with Tom Brady. And I think we saw their game plan last week against the Broncos. They won 28-10. They went up like 28-10. Early third or at halftime, and then they just went coast mode. And I think that's kind of their game plan is get up, 14, 17 points and just kind of coast to the end. That's what they're going to do again in this game, even though with a lot of injuries on both sides on the teams. But I do like the Buccaneers to win this game. I don't know about the spread of 7, maybe Chargers plus 7. It's going to be some weird game, some weird score, but Buccaneers are going to come out winning. Tom Brady's going to do just enough, put it in coast mode, and they're going to win the game. Staying in Florida, now we have Russ is cooking, but he's going all the way from Seattle to Miami. We got another West Coast to Florida. Seahawks are a 5.5-point favorite on the road against the Dolphins. The over-under is set at 54. Now, the Seahawks do have a couple of injuries on the defense, no Jamal Adams. So Fitzmagic could also be cooking in this game. Joe, thoughts on who you got?
I mean, I think that the Seahawks are going to roll in this game. I mean, we thought Chris Carson might be out. It looks like he's a go. Even if he's not 100%, they've still got Carlos Hyde back there to also pound the rock. I think Russell Wilson's just going to be able to take advantage of a banged-up secondary in Miami. DK Metcalf, he's not going to drop the ball before walking in the end zone again. I tell you that.
Hope not.
Yeah, I would hope not, but I'm sure Russell Wilson let him hear some stuff about that. So I think that they're going to come in, they're going to roll. You know, Fitzmagic might be able to do a little something, but I don't think it'll be enough to beat Russell Wilson. They're just on their A game, one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
Josh, thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's actually surprising. I didn't know about Jamal Adams, so that's good for Devontae Parker for my fantasy team. But I don't think they should be playing Carson. I think without Carson, they're gonna crush this team anyways. I think you need to preserve Carson for a more meaningful game. I think Russell Wilson is out for something bigger. He's coming for that MVP. He's coming for that Super Bowl win. He doesn't have any votes historically for MVP. I think that's absurd. He's top 4 quarterback in the NFL right now. I'm going Seahawks all the way.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks, obviously. I think they're going to win this game, but I think one thing that overshadows because Russ is just having an MVP season so far is that defense isn't that great. I mean, Cowboys put up 31 points, Patriots put up 30 points. So people are scoring on this defense, and without Jamal Adams, I believe one of their starting linebackers or linemen are also out. That was the headline, like Adams and whoever are out on the defense. So I think Fitzmagic is going to be moving the ball a little bit. The Dolphins are going to score some points. Obviously, you're going to bet the over 54 in this game. But I think the Seahawks are gonna win this game pretty easily. Just always going to be up 10 to 14 points, and they're just kind of going to go back and forth. The defense will get a stop here and there, but I do like the Seahawks in this game. But expect the Dolphins to put up some points. I think they're going to move the ball and try to get the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands as much as possible. So we're all pretty unanimous so far, except for the Bears game. This one will also probably be unanimous unless Josh just hates the Ravens so much he's picking the Washington football team. But we got the Ravens 14-point favorite heading down on I-95 about 45 minutes to Landover, Maryland, to take on the Washington football team. The over-under is set at 45.5. Let's see. Who do we start with? I mean, Joe, Washington football team, division rival. Josh, Steelers, Ravens, division rival. Let's just start with Joe. Why not? Joe, you go first.
Well, I was watching a video earlier this week about the last time the Washington Redskins played the Baltimore Ravens, and I think it was in Landover. It was with RG3, and it was a game where he ended up. It was his rookie season. Ended up injuring his knee again. Went out. Kirk Cousins came in. RG3 came back. He injured it again, and then Kirk Cousins ends up coming in, leading them to a win. It's pretty inspiring stuff. It made me almost want to pick the Washington football team, but. No, I'm not going to. I mean, the Ravens are just one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they're going to be angry coming off this loss against the Chiefs, and they're just going to beat up on their little brother, the Washington football team. And, it's going to be ugly. I don't think that Terry McLaurin's going to have a good game. I don't think that Dwayne Haskins is going to do well. I mean, turned the ball over so much against Cleveland last week. And now, he's facing, like I said, an angry Baltimore defense that just allowed a lot of points to Mahomes. So, I think it's going to be rough for Washington to bounce back after this one, and maybe it'll spring the Ravens on a little bit of a run again.
Absolutely. Josh, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer here. I'm going with Baltimore all the way. I think after this game, you won't be able to call Washington a football team. It's going to be a beatdown. They're just going to be considered Washington at this point. I think it'd be extremely poetic if the Ravens went up so much that you bring RG3 in against his former team. I think they'll probably be up so much that you'll bench RG3 after he's in and bring in Trace McSorley, also a Penn State alum. But I don't think there's any chance Washington wins this game. I think the one thing that Baltimore needs to get going a bit more is Mark Andrews. He's a top 3, top 4 tight end in this league, and I don't think they're utilizing him as much as they should in the passing game. I also think he's dropping a bit too many passes for my fantasy team. So hopefully they can get that going, but Baltimore all the way.
Yeah, so now time for the Ravens fan to speak. I would have been leaning more towards the football team had we beaten the Chiefs. I think it would have been like, all right, we beat the Chiefs, and then we just lay an egg against the football team. That didn't happen. I am a little disappointed that there's no Chase Young in this game. I was excited to see Chase Young against Lamar. We'll have to wait for 2024 for that to happen. But after the way the Ravens played on Monday night, Ravens minus 14 is absolute mortal lock of the week. Sorry to my roommate Tim. He is a big football team fan, and he will probably try to make an argument for the football team, but I'm going with the Ravens. I don't want to talk too much about this, although 2000 regular season, we lost to the Washington Redskins. We won the Super Bowl. Joe, you brought up that game, 2012. We lost to the Redskins in the regular season. We won the Super Bowl. So, if it takes a loss to the football team to give us the Super Bowl, I'm all for it, but I'm going with the Ravens in this one. This should be not good. We're going to see some RG3. Hopefully McSorley's normally one of our inactives, Josh, but hopefully we do make him – hopefully we do get a little confident, but I agree with you. We got to get Mark Andrews going. But big thing is this defense, too. Marlon Humphrey, best defensive back in the NFL, just got paid. Dwayne Haskins turns the ball over a lot. Expect us to be a little hungry. We didn't intercept Mahomes. We're going to intercept Dwayne a little bit, and we're going to cruise control to this game. So now moving on to the team that was affected a little bit by the Tennessee Titans and the Minnesota Vikings. They are going on the road to the Houston Texans. Texans are actually a 3.5-point favorite at home. The over-under is set at 53.5. Josh, Vikings, Texans, tell me your thoughts and who you got.
So I actually just checked my phone, and I got alert just now that there were no positive tests for the Vikings through Friday's result.
Well done, Vikings.
Well done, Vikings. Thanks for not being like the Titans. It looks like this game is going to be played on Sunday. I think this is a very good matchup. I think it could go either way. I'm probably leaning towards Houston here just because the Vikings have lost a couple days with practice, as well as home field advantage. I don't know if you can call home field advantage a thing during COVID, but I think those two things are the reason why Houston's going to win. I think it'll be a field goal game, if that. But I think Deshaun Watson's going to have a comeback game.
All right, so you're going with the Texans?
Texans, yep.
Awesome. Joe, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I mean, Josh really said it best. I'm going with the Texans for the same two reasons. I mean, between not being able to practice for, most of this week, and, having, your game and your season kind of in question, I just don't think the Vikings are going to have their A game, especially on top of having to travel on the road down to Houston. So, I don't like Kirk Cousins. I don't like, the Texans really either. I mean, this is 2 0-3 teams, so this is tough. I think it could go either way. But I just, for those two reasons, that's why I'm going to go with the Texans.
I picked the Vikings to win the division. Both teams are 0-3, and they both need a win. Vikings, I think, have the best chance to make the playoffs still as the 7th seed because the NFC East is pure garbage. That team's only going to get one team in. So that leaves 3 divisions.
Hey, we have a better record than the Vikings.
Sure.
Yes.
You said it as a loss, but the Texans actually looked good last week against the Steelers. I don't know, Josh, if it was the Steelers not being as good as people thought, or the Texans being like, okay, well, we're not playing the Chiefs and Ravens anymore. Like we can win games. So I'm just for the sake of this, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. I think Justin Jefferson woke up last week. The offense woke up last week. Expect them to score some points against Houston and their defense to do just enough against Deshaun Watson. I'm going with the Vikings. I wrote it down in pen, set, ink. Moving on.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
I think there's two impact players here, one from each team that will determine the game. I think it's Justin Jefferson and Will Fuller. With the loss of DeAndre Hopkins, I think Will Fuller needs to prove that he is the number one guy and can be a number one guy. Justin Jefferson had a breakout game last week. We'll see if that was a fluke or if he's starting to become the wide receiver that they drafted him as. So I think those are the two players that will decide this game.
Yeah, I'm going to just keep saying Justin Jefferson as much as possible because he was on the board when the Eagles were drafting and they decided to not take him. So Justin Jefferson, Justin Jefferson, Justin Jefferson. Oh, damn. He didn't show up.
Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. Whatever. I've been hurt enough.
Joe's like, okay, next game. Which next game? Not the Eagles, Joe. But we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and Minshew Mania going on the road to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are actually a 2.5-point favorite at home. The over-under is set at 49. That looks like 49 to me. I like the Bengals in this game. I think Joe Burrow is going to get his first NFL win after a tie. They looked good. Jaguars haven't looked good since their Week 1 win against the Colts. They have put up points in Tennessee. They attempted to play the Dolphins last week. The extra couple days playing on Thursday Night Football do concern me a little bit, but I think the Bengals kind of clicked, and after not losing or not winning after the tie, they're like, okay, like we can win some games. The Eagles, pretty good coaching staff, pretty good team. So like we can win this game. We're at home. So I'm going with the Bengals in this one. We'll kick it off to Joe. Joe, your thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Bengals. I do think this week they got their first dub. Joe Burrow, he's been playing really well against, some what are supposed to be good defenses. So I think that, against the Jaguars, he's going to be able to find success. They don't have a lot of guys in the secondary outside of C.J. Henderson. And while, they've got Josh Allen on their D-line, who's definitely going to cause some problems for that terrible Bengals offensive line, they don't really have a lot of other people on that D-line as well that I think are going to be able to make as many impact plays. So I think Joe Burrow is going to have a little bit more time in the pocket. Joe Mixon's probably going to be able to take a little bit more off of his shoulders and, do better in 40 yards of total offense in, this game. So I think that the Bengals are going to get their first win. And Minshew, he's going to try to make it close, but I think Joe Burrow's got that clutch factor more than Minshew does, even though they both definitely got it.
Love it. Josh, thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I think two of the biggest surprises last week was the Ravens losing to the Chiefs for me, but also the Jaguars losing to the Dolphins at home. I think the Jags are an okay team. James Robinson is starting to come in his own. I think Minshew is one of a kind. Not saying he's a phenomenal quarterback, but he's an interesting quarterback. They should be getting DJ Chark back this week. I think he's a game time decision. But the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, they could have won any of those three games that they've lost this season. They should have won the first one. They had a tie last week. I think Burrow's legit. I mean, this is a rookie who's playing without a preseason. These were his first three games, and he's putting up these numbers and doing this well against NFL defenses.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals are actually going to win by double digits here. I think AJ Green, this could be his bounce back game. They've been throwing a lot to him, a lot of inaccurate passes by Joe Burrow, which have been resulting in terrible stat lines for AJ Green. I think they start to connect this week and they'll get a big win.
Yeah, my Jaguars 1-15 prediction is still in play, so I got to go with the Bengals on this one. But you guys all nailed it. Moving on, now we got the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield making their way to Jerryland. Browns at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 56. Joe, these are your Cowboys, baby. I can see it on your shirt right now. It says Dallas Cowboys on it. So tell us about the Browns-Cowboys game and who you got.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is going to be a close game. I think the Browns are going to be able to run the ball, and that's going to be the determining factor, how well they're able to run the ball. If they can run the ball all game and, just do that bootleg play action with Baker Mayfield, hit some plays down the field to Odell Beckham, I mean, he had that amazing one-handed catch against the Cowboys, a few years back. So, they definitely could make some noise and, make this a good game. But I do think the Cowboys are going to end up getting this win. I mean, last week they were toe-to-toe with the Seahawks. They had every chance to, get that victory. They came back against the Falcons. They just have a lot of firepower on offense, and I think are just going to be able to put up enough points to, do more than the Browns rushing attack can put up.
Josh, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, the spread is 4.5 on this, right?
That's what I have. Yes.
I think that's absurd. I think that there's a lot of frauds in the NFL right now with teams that are over 500. I think the Browns are at the top of that list. They've played two pathetic teams since their absolute brutal loss to the Ravens. I think they're terrible. I think their offense has talent to be special, but I don't think Baker Mayfield is anything near what people think he is or should be. I think the Cowboys are actually better than their record shows. I think they're going to easily win the division, which, sorry, Joe, isn't really saying much with the teams in that division. I think the Cowboys are going to find their stride throughout the season. I think they'll be one of the top seeds in the NFC. And I think the Cowboys are going to win by 2 touchdowns at least in this game at home.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not that the Browns are frauds. I think Odell Beckham is a fraud. If he didn't make that catch against the Cowboys, and he wasn't in New York, we wouldn't be talking about him as one of the best receivers and why he's not getting the ball, not making catches. Truth is, he's not a good receiver, okay? Let's just stop talking about him as one of the best receivers in the NFL. Now, however, the Browns do have one of the best running backs in the NFL with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, a great 1-2 punch. They are going to run the ball. They are going to create some play action. The Cowboys defense is bad, but I'm going with Dak and Zeke. I'm with Josh. I don't think the Browns are as good as their winning record suggests after 3 weeks. I mean, you beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals at home on Thursday Night Football in a short week, and then you beat the football team. Yay. So I'm going with the Cowboys. I think it's not going to be a couple of touchdown lead. I like 4.5. Might be 7 to 10 points, but the Cowboys are going to be in control of this game. Zeke and Dak are going to set the tone offensively, and the defense is going to do just enough to win this game. I wanted this to be the last 1 o'clock game, but I forgot to write down the last one we're talking about with the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray going all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina at the Panthers. Cardinals at Panthers. Cardinals are a 3.5-point road favorite. The over-under is set at 51.5. Let's kick it off to Josh first. Josh, thoughts and who you got in Cardinals-Panthers?
Yeah, I'll start off right away by saying I've got Arizona. I think this is going to go to one of 2 ways. I think it's either going to be an Arizona beatdown on the Panthers, or it's going to be a field goal kicker kind of game where you see 4 to 5 field goals from each team. I think Kyler is the second best running running quarterback in the league, only behind Lamar Jackson. But he's getting close to Lamar. I mean, what he can do with his feet is absolutely wild. I think he's got a little bit more to get to that next level with Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. But I think the Cardinals have a bounce back game after that crappy loss to the Lions last week. I think Arizona wins this one.
Joe, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Josh. I do think the Cardinals bounce back this week. I mean, underrated stat line about Kyler's great season so far. He's turned the ball over in every game so far. He's one of only 2 or 3 quarterbacks to do so, one of which is Carson Wentz. Shout out. Terrible. So I really just I think that if he can get those turnovers under control or at least manage them enough, this should be an easy game. But if he's continuing to turn the ball over a lot, then it's going to be a little bit closer. I mean, that's where this Panthers team is going to be able to beat people when that defense is playing well. That's when, that whole team is going to be able to produce a little bit more. I think Mike Davis is going to show up again this week and, put up a lot of points. But, I mean, it's Teddy Bridgewater versus Kyler Murray. I'm going to pick Kyler Murray every time.
Shout out to Mike Davis in PPR leagues. He's killing it. He's killing it.
Yeah, you guys both nailed it. The Cardinals are going to bounce back and win this game. The Panthers won last week in LA against the Chargers because they got so many turnovers and had such a short field, but they couldn't put it in the end zone. kicker Joey Sly from Virginia Tech. Shout out to him, Joey Sly, Virginia Tech. Say hi in the comments. But he kicked a bunch of field goals they didn't put in the end zone after getting short fields. And Kyler Murray had a couple of turnovers himself last week with some bad interceptions. I think he fixes that. They're going to do a little bit more on the groundwork. Kenyon Drake needs to get a little bit more involved for me, but him and Chase Edmonds and Kyler are going to have some fun, and the Cardinals are going to win this game. Pretty easy. Okay, so we're all pretty even again. Now we have the 4 o'clock slate. There's 3 games. 2 of them are really good. One of them is not really good. We got the New York Giants at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are a 13.5-point favorite at home. Over/under is set at 48. Joe, we'll kick it off with you. Thoughts and who you got in Giants-Rams?
Rams, easy win. The Giants just not a good team right now. They weren't that great before the Saquon injury, and now they're a lot worse. So, I think the Rams offense is just going to put up a ton of points. I think Aaron Donald's going to just dominate that offensive line. They're not going to have any type of run game going. So, you're asking Daniel Jones to put everything on his shoulders against a phenomenal pass rusher and a phenomenal cornerback. So I think that the Rams defense is going to be able to force some turnovers against Daniel Jones, keep him off his A game. They're not going to put up a lot of points, but then the Rams offense is going to put up a lot of points against that bad defense.
Josh, thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I don't have a lot on this one, so I'm going to use this short time to say I think it's absurd that the NFL only schedules 3 games during the 4 o'clock slate. I think they need to spread out these 1 to 4 o'clock games. It's a lot more enjoyable for fans. But this game and the Baltimore game, to me, are the 2 locks of the week. Both games, if you took away Baltimore and the Rams starters, I still think they'd blow each of the teams out. I've got the Rams in this one. I'll give credit to the Rams. They got rid of Gurley and are now crushing it with a running back by committee. All of their running backs have been doing well and stepping up. And I think they found their true identity with Goff and just balling it to Kupp and Woods and Higbee. So I've got Rams in this one, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Josh, I'm with you. I think it is absurd, but last week there was 5, but I still only found myself watching, 2 of them. One was the Jets. One was Tampa Bay and Denver doing nothing in the second half. One was the Panthers and Chargers being kind of boring with no touchdowns. The 1 o'clock slate with all these games, I put on Red Zone. That witching hour is just boom, 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 boom. And then it's like 4 o'clock slate. It's like, okay, here's like the Cowboys and Seahawks. Oh, by the way, the Jets threw another pick 6. So I'm with you. They do need to schedule more, but they need to do better in scheduling some better teams. I'm going with the Rams. That was my talk on how the Rams will do against the Giants. Now we got 2 very good 4 o'clock games. I gotta flip the script to see what I did first. The first one, we got Josh Allen and the 3-0 Buffalo Bills heading all the way to the West Coast, to the desert. Well, not the West Coast, to Nevada, playing the Las Vegas Raiders. The Bills are a 3.5-point road favorite at the Raiders. Over/under set at 52.5. Let's kick it off with Josh first. Bills, Raiders, thoughts and who you got?
All right, I'm excited to be on this show. I've always wanted to be like a guest picker or someone. I'm going to quote Chris Berman, and no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills here. I think they're legit. I think they're going to win the division over the Patriots. With that being said, I love what the Raiders are doing. I think Gruden is doing a phenomenal job building up that team. I think they've got a year left before they're legitimate contenders in their division, before they're legitimate contenders in the AFC to make a run. Waller and Jacobs are phenomenal. There's injuries across the board with the Raiders wide receivers right now. I don't think Edwards or Ruggs are playing this week. So the defense is going to be able to focus on Jacobs and Waller. But go Bills, man. Bills Mafia all the way.
Joe, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good game. One underrated aspect of this game is with the Raiders' home field advantage in Las Vegas, anytime someone comes in as a visitor, these are millionaires, young adults. We saw how the Saints looked coming out against the Raiders that night. They looked like they had been out partying a little bit, maybe going and spending some of those millions of dollars. So I don't know. The Raiders in Las Vegas, that's a pretty dope home field advantage. That's just a lot of temptation for NFL players when they come to town. So like I said, the way the Saints came in, they just did not look good. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think the Bills' defense is as good as we expected them to be. I mean, they've allowed a lot of points over the last few weeks against, teams that we would think that they would match up well against. So I think it's going to be a close game. And if the Raiders were at full strength, I would pick them. But I do think the Bills are going to do just enough to win this one.
Yeah, you guys both nailed it. I'm going with the Bills in this game. I think that offense is legit with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs now. Josh, you nailed it with the Raiders. They are banged up. So defensively, although the Bills' defense isn't as good as people thought, all you got to do in this game is take out Josh Jacobs. And if you can stop the run, I don't trust Derek Carr with the weapons that they have right now. And Josh, you nailed it. I said the same thing in our AFC predictions. The Raiders are probably a year away. Get another piece or two to really become contenders and really compete with the Chiefs for that division. The Raiders could still make the playoffs, but I'm going with the Bills in this one. To quote Chris Berman, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I went to the Ravens-Bills game last year up in Buffalo. Bills Mafia was a great time. It was a lot of fun. Definitely want to go back for a big game, even if the Ravens aren't playing. But we also got to get COVID underway and solved, because next year, Ravens at Raiders. I want to go to Vegas to watch the Ravens play. Now probably game of the day in the 4 o'clock slate, depending on your takes. But we have Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots heading their way to Arrowhead Stadium, where they won the AFC Championship a few years ago in overtime, to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 7-point home favorite, and the over-under is set at 52.5. We'll kick it off to Joe first. Joe, Patriots, Chiefs, thoughts, and who you got?
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited to see this game. I mean, we got Andy Reid, one of the best offensive play callers of all time, versus Bill Belichick, one of the best defensive play callers of all time. It's always a great matchup. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They are the favorite. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and nobody's been able to stop him or slow him down yet. I think that it is going to be a good game. The Patriots are going to be able to put up points against this defense. Maybe if they can get Mahomes off his game. I mean, if they can do what the Chargers were able to do to him a few weeks ago, then the Patriots will win. But I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. So I think that the Chiefs are going to be able to do just enough and just going to be able to keep putting up points every single drive. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, if he can take away, either Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, it's going to be really interesting to see who he's covering and, how they kind of deploy that defense this week.
Yeah. Josh, thoughts and who you got?
Yeah, I want to start off by saying it's absurd that teams passed on Cam Newton and he ended up with the Patriots. I mean, this guy is coming for something. Like, he's got something to prove. According to Belichick, he's in the facility more than any other player on their team. I think it's ridiculous that he's playing with the Patriots right now, and that teams let that happen. With that being said, I think people forget with Lamar Jackson being the reigning MVP. I think people are forgetting that Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL by far. He is unbelievable what he does on his feet, what he does with his arm. He can read defenses now, which he said he wasn't able to do last year for most of the season. So he's just getting better and better. I think the Patriots keep this close until the fourth quarter. I think the Chiefs end up winning by about 10 points here. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to hold Cam Newton under about 40 yards of rushing, which I think is going to be the key to beating the Patriots this year, is how well can you contain Cam Newton. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but more specifically, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes here.
Yeah, that's a good point, Josh. I'm going with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, as much as that pains me to say, because Lamar is close. Not after Monday night's game. I can't say number 2. I'll say close. But the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. And as I mentioned before, Belichick's really good at taking out the one strength of the offense. But who are you going to take out? If you take out Edwards-Helaire, you got Hill, Hardman, Watkins, Kelce. You take out Kelce, you got Hill, Edwards-Helaire, Watkins, Hardman. You take out Hill, you got, so there's so many weapons on this Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes. I think Andy Reid is going to get pretty good offensively, make some great play calls like he did Monday night. Chiefs are going to blow them out, I think. Not saying the Patriots are frauds. I think they're going to be good. They're going to be a playoff team. but this is going to be like, oh, okay, like Cam Newton and the Patriots probably aren't as good as people think. They'll still make the playoffs. And one of my friends, he is a Patriots fan. He got deep into Patriots Twitter yesterday and started texting me saying that the Patriots are being pretty aggressive in going after Julio Jones this week, and they didn't want to make the move this week because they wanted to play the Chiefs without him. They didn't want to see the Chiefs playing, seeing what they can do with Julio Jones on the field. So we'll see next week, Joe, when we recap if Julio Jones is on the Patriots. But I'm going.
I don't think that's real.
Yeah,
it's 2020. Anything can happen at this point. I wouldn't put it past them.
Then you said a few late round picks. So I'm like, what? No, that has to be a couple first. Now, if they take on the entire contract, sure, but you got to get a couple first rounds if you're the Falcons. But the Chiefs are going to win. What I saw from them defensively on Monday, they held Lamar intact. Obviously, Lamar didn't make the best of throws. He had 5 official drop passes from Mark Andrews mostly, but also Hollywood Brown. But they're going to contain Cam Newton like they just did Lamar. Probably benefit that they got these games back-to-back, kind of a similar scheme defensively. I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. And now, Sunday Night Football. Joe, that was a great reaction because we got your Philadelphia Eagles at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, with their backup quarterback, backup running back, banged-up defensive line, 7-point home favorite, over-under set at 45. Joe, we'll let you have the floor. Talk to us about your Eagles going on the road to San Francisco for Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, this is going to be a bad game, an ugly game. I don't think it's going to be fun for anyone to watch. I said it last week. They should have flexed this game immediately when they saw the matchup. It's going to be bad. I mean, I think it's going to be like a 14-10 or 17-20 type of game. I mean, George Kittle is back, and he is about to just feast against Nate Gary and our linebackers and our safeties. We have not been able to cover the tight end at all this season. They're just going to try to run the ball and, hit the play action with Nick Mullins, George Kittle, and I'm sure it's going to be successful. With the way our defense has been looking this year, you would think that's something that they'd prepare for, but they probably won't. They're probably going to get cute, and George Kittle's just going to go off for, I would say, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns, 21-10 49ers. That's what I see it going.
Josh, thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I think this is another terrible, like Joe said, I think this is a terrible scheduling decision. I mean, you've got the Chiefs and Pats. Why aren't you playing them Sunday night when you're playing these 2 banged up teams? I actually, when I looked at these games on Tuesday, I picked the Eagles with this big upset. But now that Kittle, mostly Kittle, but having Deebo Samuel most likely back as well, I'm going with Chiefs here. Not Chiefs, the Niners here. I think Philly is competing with the Jets as one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Sorry, Joe. But
hey, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, and another note, how do you punt on a 64-yard field goal to win the game last week? I mean, come on, man. Like, you got to trust your defense. If you miss that field goal, you got to trust your defense enough to stop them to not be able to score on that. That was absurd to me. I think the Eagles have already given up on this season, to be honest. But yeah, I've got Niners in a close one on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm with the 49ers. I think you guys both nailed it. George Kittle is going to come out and feast in his first game of the season. Nick Mullins is going to look for him. The Rams tight end Tyler Higbee had 3 touchdowns against the Eagles. The Eagles cannot cover tight end. So George Kittle is going to feast. Josh, you brought up Gamecock, Deebo Samuel. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. I still think he's not 100%, but just him being on the field, he's going to be a threat, and he'll be used very schematically, we'll say. 49ers are going to win this game. I don't trust the Eagles and their one wide receiver, Greg Ward. So I'm going with the 49ers. I kind of agree with both of you. It might be like a little bit of a close game, but it's going to be like a 20-10, whoever kind of gets like that first or second touchdown to really elevate the score. That was a weird phrasing, but I'm going with the 49ers. Now we got one more game. We got Monday Night Football. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Green Bay Packers. Packers are a back-to-back 7-point home favorites for the Packers. The over-under is 57. Should we just give the Packers or the Falcons a 30-0 lead to start off and see if Aaron Rodgers can come back? I think that would be more entertaining than the game itself. I got the Packers. I do think the Falcons are going to put up some points. The Packers defense looks, decent. Not the best, not good, not great. So the Falcons have a good offense. They're going to put up some points, but kind of like Mahomes, it's kind of hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers, especially with the season that he's having, and even Russell Wilson. It's just so hard to pick against them. Lambeau Field, we're going to be Lambeau leaping into no fans. I'm going with the Packers. Let's kick it off with Josh first. Josh, or I guess second, I just went. Josh, thoughts on who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Falcons deserve a moment of silence. Like, geez, it's unbelievable. They've had a 95% winning probability in the last 2 games they've played in the fourth quarter. Like, and they've lost both those games. I mean, that's absurd. To me, that's a fireable offense for their head coach. I'm surprised their head coach is still with the team right now. I think it's the biggest Super Bowl hangover ever. I mean, that's what the Patriots do to you. They destroy teams. They destroy franchises. They've now destroyed the Falcons and the Falcons' hopes and dreams. I think there's 3 quarterbacks in this league that are out for vengeance right now. I think it's Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. I think all 3 are coming for something big. You got Russell Wilson with the MVP votes. You've got Big Ben just coming back after being talked down with injuries, and Aaron Rodgers, only 1 Super Bowl in his career. I think he's coming for that Super Bowl win this year, despite the atrocious draft that the Packers gave him, not getting any threats for him. I'm going Packers here. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, probably something like 35-25, something like that. The Falcons wide receivers, all 3 of them are now banged up. So who knows who's going to play. But I honestly think that the Falcons are good enough to make a run after this game. I think if they can get all 3 wide receivers playing at one time, the Falcons could make a run and potentially make the playoffs despite their start.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the 7 teams, the NFC East being garbage, a team could get in at 8-8, 9-7. And if you win a couple of games, I mean, the Falcons were like 1-6, 1-7. They finished the year last year 8-8. So it could be a similar story this year. But Joe, thoughts on Falcons, Packers, Monday Night Football, and who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm never going to pick the Falcons again, I think. So, yeah, I mean, Packers are just the better team. Falcons, I mean, I just don't see them, fighting for anything right now. And I just don't think that Dan Quinn's going to be here much longer. I mean, you guys said it. They got 3 receivers that are banged up. I think is Devontae Adams back this week, I believe.
I think he's ruled out, actually.
Oh, really?
I think he's supposed to be.
No. Lazard got surgery. He's out. So it should be Adams and MVS.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, so Devontae Adams is back this week. Aaron Rodgers gets his favorite target. So I don't think it's gonna be a close game. I think the Packers are gonna roll pretty easily.
Love that. Well, we're unanimous on pretty much everything, except Josh and I have the Bears beating the Colts. I have the Vikings beating the Texans, but other than that, we're either gonna all be like 15-1, or we're all gonna be like 4-12. Like, there's no in between here. But Josh, thank you so much for being this week's guest picker. If you would like to become a guest picker and be like Josh, gotta like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your pick of the week. It could be straight up winner, could be spread, could be your over, could be under. Nobody bets the unders here. Could be the over. So give us your pick, give us your lock of the week, and hopefully we'll see you next week as a guest picker. But Josh, thank you so much again. And do you have any final words for the viewers of the Flea Flicker?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is awesome. I think more people need to do this. Definitely subscribe, like, comment, because this is a great experience. Because we didn't get to talk too much about the Steelers, I'd like to give a shout out to the Steelers. I'm making the prediction now that TJ Watt will be the defensive player of the year. You can mark that down in pen, Tim. 100% that will happen. But the last thing I'll say is, Craig, I'm coming for you. I'm going to have the better winning percentage this week, and I will remain the champion for the rest of the season with the picks I have this week.
Yeah, Josh, we'll definitely have to get you back on when the Steelers are playing a game. That way, we can talk about, your Steelers, maybe Steelers-Ravens.
Steelers-Ravens.
You guys lost to RG3 last year, so, But, Joe, any final words, any final thoughts before we bid adieu to the show?
Not that I can think of. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, with all the COVID stuff, I think I said it last week. It could be the beginning of the end of the NFL season if some more teams start getting sick. So, if the 0-2-1 Eagles season just gets wiped away, it's like it never happened. So, oh well, we'll see what happens. But that's all I got. I hope you guys have a great weekend, man. Thanks for having us today.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Friendly reminder, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your pick. We'll get you on as a guest picker. Come back on Wednesday when we recap, or Thursday if Joe needs to work late again on Tuesday. Third time could be the charm, Joe. But everybody enjoy this week of football, and we will see you on Wednesday.
All right.
Thank you.